Good morning and welcome. My name is William Price and I am the principal here at Tanglewood Middle School. On behalf of our staff and our students, I'm honored to welcome you to our school for this very exciting opportunity for the community. Tanglewood Middle School is located in the western part of Greenville County and we serve approximately 500 students currently. We also share about 90, I think, Tiffany, with the Greenville Early College that are also members of our school and our community but are going to a program at the Greenville Early College, the University Center. The majority of our students live in poverty, as most of you do know, and about a third of our students speak English as a second language. So we have a very high Hispanic population of about 1/3 of this building. We are a making middle grades work school. We follow the 10 key practices and the frameworks designed for high schools that work. Pleased to announce that this year we were the recipient of the Palmetto Silver Award for closing the achievement gap. We also have in our building the runner-up for Greenville County Teacher of the Year, Mr. Evett, who is a special ed teacher here. I'm very honored that he was named runner-up. We continue to build a nurturing and caring environment here with Capturing Kids' Hearts. If you're familiar, it's the Flip-Flippin' model. This is our 3rd year, so our 8th graders now have been through this process for their entire years here, and it is really having a positive effect. But our kids, when we see them in the hall in our doorways, we shake their hands, we tell them good morning, and just offer politeness and encouragement and respect, and it is reciprocated greatly by all of our students. So we have some of the best technology available in our building. We have 1-to-1 computer ratios with laptops. We're also in the process of going to a 1-to-1 Google Chrome with the Chromebooks. So we have the platform in the 21st century classrooms with the Promethean boards, all of which is possible because of Greenville County Schools. So we'd like to thank them for that. We have growing and now competitive, I'd like to say. Before we were not very competitive, but our band is now rated superior as well as our chorus, so we are actually competing statewide and getting awards. And we received the Mr. Holland's Opus Grant last year, which brought in some new instruments. The Greenville Music Club of Greenville has also provided many instruments for our kids who unfortunately cannot afford the instrument, but we're getting good sponsorship from grants and private donations. And so our kids are flourishing and they're competing at a great level. So I'm pleased to announce that. And also we have a business relation and partnership with Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin provides not only funding, but also personnel. Hopefully we're going to be getting them in here for some tutoring and also some mentoring this year. And with some of the monies they have provided for us, we were able to start a robotics program through engineering. And we do that through Gateway to Technology. And we had our first competition this year. So we're excited about some new things happening. And we're very excited about this grant for the United Way. As a middle school, we know what a critical time the years are for middle school, grades 6 through 8. And that's why we're thrilled to be a part of this grant.
Over the last year and a half, in addition to my duties on the school board, I have had the pleasure of serving as a member of United Way of Greenville County's Middle Grades Success Challenge Team. Under a planning grant from United Way Worldwide and Ready by 21, this group comprised of representatives from the school district, the business community, education-focused nonprofits, and other community agencies spent a year in the community listening, learning, studying, and dreaming about how we can affect change in our community by reaching our middle school students. We learned a lot through this process. We learned that middle school is a time for students to explore their strengths and start to think about their future. It is a time for incredible changes, growth, and learning. But it is also a time when too many students start to disengage with school and take the first steps on the path toward dropping out of high school, putting their futures at risk, and many other things that they may encounter or think about. This vulnerable time for students is coupled with a lack of support in the middle school years from outside organizations. There are far more community supports for young children and high school students. We also learned that too often simply where you live can put you at a disadvantage that's hard to rise above. Greenville County has experienced robust growth and development, yet there are many neighborhoods and communities that have been left behind. If we are to strengthen our whole community, we must focus on communities that need us most and change the odds for our children in these neighborhoods. After months of planning with a variety of community partners, school district staff and principals, United Way, and these partners have teamed up to stop student disengagement before it happens, keeping middle school students on track toward graduation and a promising future. To announce a major move forward in this work, please join me in welcoming the President of United Way, Mr. Ted Hendry.
Good morning, and thank you, Glenda, so much for your service to schools and United Way and our entire community. We are so happy to be here today alongside our partners, Greenville County Schools and the Riley Institute at Furman University, to share what we've had to keep under wraps for the last 6 weeks. It is very hard to keep a secret this good secret. And with the power of the podium, I officially declare that the embargo has been lifted. Last week in Washington, D.C., the Corporation for National and Community Service named our United Way as one of 7 new recipients of its Social Innovation Fund grants for 2014. The Social Innovation Fund is a forward-thinking approach to transforming lives and community that uses limited federal investment as a catalyst to grow community-based nonprofits with evidence of very strong results. 5 years into the program, the Social Innovation Fund and its non-federal partners, like United Way, have committed to invest more than $700 million in effective community solutions. And with that match, that means it's a third federal investment and 2/3 private investment in local communities. Today, I'm excited to announce that after a highly competitive, rigorous nationwide competition, the United Way of Greenville County has received a 3-year, $3 million grant from the Social Innovation Fund, with the potential for an additional $2 million continuation grant based on appropriations and performance. United Way will subgrant these dollars to other nonprofit organizations who apply to help implement an evidence-based dropout prevention strategy called an early warning and response system for middle grade students here at Tanglewood, as well as Lakeview Middle School, Berea Middle School, and Greenville Early College. We want to thank Principals Latonia Copeland, Robin Mill, Tiffany Estes, and William Price for opening the doors of their schools to this brand new partnership. The federal funds will be matched dollar for dollar by the United Way of Greenville County, private foundations and corporations, and matched again by subgrantees for a potential investment of $15 million over the next 5 years. When submitting this grant, Hollingsworth Funds and the Community Foundation made major commitments, reflecting their genuine community support for this work. And additionally, we received a corporate commitment from Wells Fargo as a part of the submission process. We simply would not have received this grant without the upfront commitment made by these 3 organizations, so thank you very much. Over the next 5 years, this initiative will stimulate a systemic change in how we as a community support students during the middle grade years, placing students firmly on the path to on-time high school graduation, preparing them for career or college, and creating a cycle of success for themselves and their families. Piloted effectively in Philadelphia, Phoenix, and other communities around the country, the early warning and response system utilizes real-time data to identify students beginning to disengage from school as indicated by attendance, behavior, and course performance. By identifying students early, a coordinated team of educators and experts will link the student with the right intervention at the right time. This is not a one-size-fits-all solution. One of the great things about this work is that it recognizes that every child is different, and the community responds with a tailored approach to meet each student's needs. This wraparound support for students and their families can include such things as healthcare, transportation, affordable housing, or almost anything that will affect student and family success. This system of evidence-based school and community support will ensure that all students meet a broad vision for middle grade success, which means that students will transition successfully into and out of middle school, that students will remain actively engaged in the learning process throughout middle school, and that each student will enter high school prepared for academic success. With a targeted focus on the high-need schools in the Whitehorse community, we will leverage funds and program providers to focus on 3 indicators, as I mentioned: attendance, behavior, and course performance. We are going to work in partnership to increase the number of middle grade students proficient in math, English, and language arts by 25%, reduce the rate of chronic absenteeism by 75%, and decrease the number of students receiving disciplinary referrals by 50%, and the number of students receiving out-of-school suspension by 50%. This is work United Way has been engaged in for several years now, but this new Social Innovation Fund grant will allow us to take a major step forward. We are extremely proud to be included among a very select list of 27 organizations from around the country that have received Social Innovation Fund grants over the past 5 years. And we're very excited about the possibilities that this grant will create for the children of this community and the future of Greenville County. This grant represents a major win for all of us as it validates the power of collaboration that we so strongly believe in at the United Way and in this great community. This grant would not have happened without the strong support and commitment from all of the partners here at the podium and many of you out there. One of the defining aspects of the Social Innovation Fund and this grant is a very thorough research and evaluation process. We will constantly evaluate what is and is not effective, and we're very lucky to have a strong, incredible research partner in the Riley Institute at Furman University, and are so grateful to have them as partners in this work. Here to share the role of the Riley Institute is its Executive Director, Don Gordon.
Good morning, everybody. I cannot tell you how excited we are to be in partnership with the Greenville School District and the United Way on this incredible project. It's incredible for a variety of reasons. It's in its simplicity. It is a very, very elegant, simple process. And yet it offers amazing promise, not just for the children and families and communities in the Whitehorse Road area, but for others across the state, and quite frankly, as a model for across the country. I think some of these benefits are going to be obvious to you right away. As you well know, for individual students, high school education has become a minimum requirement for entry into the labor market, as well as the pathway to the additional education that positions students well for success in the knowledge economy. From communities, from the student success, multiple benefits are going to flow from it. Families and communities are strengthened. more income taxes are paid, more economic activity occurs, pressures on the public pocketbook are eased, employers have more access to a qualified workforce, and so on and so on. But another extremely important ripple effect, one that is somewhat less obvious, is that of building a more reliable and real evidence base of what actually works in public education. The Riley Institute in 2007 carried out a landmark study of public education in the state, which provided a roadmap for where the state should go with public education and how to get there. It strongly pointed out the kinds of programs that should be in place across the state. That study made clear that South Carolina, indeed the nation, needs more hard data about which models are the best examples of those needed programs, which community school models, which project-based learning models, which early education models, after-school models, dropout prevention models. What actually works best? Knowing what works helps us understand which programs need to be scaled up or replicated in other settings. This need for real information about what works is why the Riley Institute launched its nonprofit research shop about 10 years ago. And is one of the reasons that we are really happy to be a part of this project because of its emphasis on real data and real information about what works. The Riley Institute will conduct rigorous evaluations of the early warning and response system's overall strategy and each of the preventions, each of the interventions, the solutions that are put in place to help students. We're going to track multiple outcomes for each of these solutions. We're going to measure the program's effectiveness over its lifespan. So in 3 to 5 years' time, not only will the Greenville School District, but districts across the state be able to focus, understand where they are and what works, and to be able to focus resources and to help students transition successfully out of middle school into high school and beyond. We very much look forward to working with the United Way and the Greenville School District in the coming years as we make this happen.
This initiative today brings together those entities that we realize and know as school leaders and educators are necessary to make any initiative work. We cannot educate students isolated in a classroom or isolated within a school. It requires partnerships. It requires the kind of partnerships that you have heard described this morning. It requires government entities working with schools, working with nonprofit organizations, working with business, industry, working with parents, all working together to do those things that we need to do to ensure that our children are college and career ready when they leave us, in order to build the kind of community that we all want to be a part of and live in. When we look at the years that students are in school, that further emphasizes how important it is to have partnership with the community and the supports that need to come from home and from community. If you think about a student being with us in school from the time they enter kindergarten to the time they graduate, generally speaking, they come in at age 5 and they leave at age 18. In that 13 years, they're with us about 10% of the time. If you think about from birth to 18, ages 5 to 18, they're with us about 10% of the time. So we're trying to educate and affect great change sometimes in young people in 10% of their time from the time they were born to the time they turn 18. That is not a task that any one teacher, any one school district, or any one school system can undertake alone and be successful. It requires the supports that are available in the home and in the community. This age, as you've heard alluded to earlier in the remarks that Mr. Price made, and this community are particularly challenging. Students drop out of school between grades 5 and 8. If you look at all the research, that's when they drop out of school. They don't leave then. In South Carolina, they can't leave till they turn 16. But they've already dropped out of school. They've already disengaged, for the most part, between grades 5 and 8. That's why it is so important to identify those characteristics that are placing those students at risk and causing them to drop out. so that we can begin those interventions during the time they will be most successful, which is at that point they are first beginning to show those signs of disengagement. So it's crucial, it's critical to what we do to identify those students, those middle grades, again between grades 5 and 8, and engage them with the network of support that they need to have to put them back on the path to becoming college and career ready. And those are supports that the school system cannot provide. Those are the kinds of supports that have to come from the community, whether it be the faith-based community, the nonprofit agencies in the community, the governmental agencies in the community, or other organizations within the community that have the access to, the ability, and most importantly, the expertise in those areas. We're experts at educating students. We also hope that we have some expertise in identifying those issues that are barriers to students obtaining an education. And then at that point, we need to be able to hand off to, then continue to work in partnership with other entities and other agencies that are better situated, that are more expert, and have the resources to provide the supports that our students need to have to cause them to continue along that path that's going to make them college and career ready. And we know this is the most challenging age. And with any community, there are more challenging areas sometimes in our communities. The areas served by the schools that were mentioned earlier are some of our most challenging areas. Hence, starting here. But we have students at schools throughout this system. No matter what school or what you might immediately picture as the community that school serves, there are students that face great challenge and don't have the supports they need to have, no matter which community they reside in this county. So the things that are done here, where perhaps there is a greater concentration of those needs, serve as a model that we believe, and we hope that the statistics will bear out, can be replicated in these other communities to provide that system of support and encouragement to all of our students, no matter where they reside, no matter what their particular need is, that will allow them to focus on becoming educated, preparing themselves for the next step, and leaving us college and career ready. We not only want students to leave us with a high school diploma, we want them to leave at least having taken some step in their next step. That they leave us not just with a high school diploma, but some sort of vocational technical certification, or some level of technical college credit, or some level of four-year college credit, or in some cases, in announcements we've made within the past 6 to 8 months, credits at the college level in their area of major study. So we not only want students to leave us with a high school diploma, we want them to leave us with a high school diploma plus some additional. But we first got to get them to high school to get that diploma. These are the critical years, these are the critical ages, and these are the critical needs. We believe that this grant will allow us to develop that warning system and develop those partnerships that will engage those strategies, those supports, and the assistance that these students need to have in order to be successful. We appreciate this opportunity to partner with all of these organizations. We look forward to working with the United Way in this new relationship, though we have a long-standing relationship with the United Way. And we look forward to being able to work with all the organizations, all the entities, and all the individuals who have committed to this worthy cause to help us to bring together those parts of our community that can ensure that all of our students are successful and they leave us ready to come back into our community or whatever community they choose to live in and be a contributing member of our society.